Hi ma'am, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My first question is, how is it important that women had received a permanent constituency at the UNFCCC?
It's very, very important, and indeed it's an opportunity for us to celebrate as we are doing here tonight. It's important because we always advocate for women to be at the decision-making tables. And COP17 is an incredibly important forum for women to infuse the gender equality issues and women's rights issues into all the agreements that are actually being discussed here. So having this status as an observer in all the COP meetings is for women's rights a triumph.
Yeah. Second question would be, how does women being heard right now in this year's climate negotiations here in Durban?
Well, at the level of the ministerial declarations, I would say that from what I observe, there are not very many women. But at the level of the side events and the civil society representation, there is a big constituency. They are doing a lot in terms of advocating for the appropriate language to go into all the agreements, sleeping very, very late as a result because of the commitment they have to ensure that as many of the agreements actually have gender-sensitive language as possible.
My third question would be, based on the updates in the current negotiations in the COP, what have the women gained so far in these negotiations?
In these negotiations, one of the things I certainly know, as you know, right now the negotiations are still ongoing. So I would best respond to that question perhaps on the 8th or on the 9th when we actually have the semi-final documents. But suffice to say that one of the commitments that we have heard now is that the climate fund itself, the Green Climate Fund itself, must start working now. And we know that the Green Climate Fund does have some elements of gender in it. So that in itself is an achievement.
My second to the last question would be, how is it important that right now the president of the COP is a woman and the executive secretary is a woman?
It's very, very important. As I indicated before, we are tirelessly working to ensure that women are at decision-making tables. And when three of the women, the Troika, which is the group that is being created now, which is called the Troika Plus, are women, that is certainly an achievement, because that is exactly what we fight for every day in terms of equal representation of women in such forums and at this very, very high level.
My last question would be, what would be your message to the young women of the world and to the young boys who are here and who are not here in COP?
We are saying to the young men and women out there, thank you so much for the support that you continue to provide in terms of utilizing the spaces of the voices of men and women who happen to be in those decision-making forums at the moment, and therefore can also represent your voices. But we are also saying, take the responsibility to understand the issues, to educate yourselves so that tomorrow you are sitting at these forums and representing the interests of young people. Particularly making sure that you are infusing the human rights elements, the gender equality issues, and you are also taking the voice of other marginalized groups, not only the youth. And it's always so important to be inclusive in the conversations that we have, in the advocacy that we do.
Thank you very much.